spark less quantum sparks. The outer parts can phase, but they can't generate enough of a spark to pull in and to create the rest of the changes that will allow sparks to assemble into kilons, to assemble into keys. So what happens most times when people have sex here, yes, they can build up charge, and the charge will be stored in the body. And at a certain point, the charge will release. But it will release, it will form kilons, the sparks will build, they'll form kilons, but they will be mutated kilons that carry the Metatronic configuration of crystal formation. And because of that, they will not be able to go on to the next step that would be the release from the kilon bonds and then progressing into harmonic key manufacture. So what they do when you get an oversaturation of those sparks forming those type of crystals in the body, they will eventually reach a point where they'll drive you crazy if you don't get them out, and usually people take care of that in whatever way they do. And when an orgasm occurs, they go flooding upward through the vertical column and downward, but mostly upward and out through the chakras and into the auric field layers. Now that would be all right, except there are certain things set in motion on this planet that were put here to specifically siphon that energy. And that's why the sexual behavior has been controlled for so long on this planet. The energy that allowed certain forces here to have enough power to override Earth's natural crystal spiral when it just began to start, when it began its healing process, was gained in one way. It was gained by harnessing the keys, or the mutated keys, that were produced by certain types of life forms on this planet. It was not just humans, but humans and indigo keys were the most valuable because they are the largest. They have the most quantum of energy in them. But everything, to raccoons and bears and lions and tigers, and everything that copulates and makes keys, if the process is mutated, the quantum of energy in the sparks is caught. Now that's a quantum that could go back into the body, but it's not. It's released in orgasm. An orgasm is as it's done here now, is a burst of energy that flies through the chakras, make your toes curl, goes out into your auric field, and then something happens that's not supposed to happen. It actually, your auric field layers are connected to the Earth's auric field layers. There are certain mechanisms, vorticets, in the Earth that specifically siphon that type of energy off. So the partial kilons that you made that could have become keys if they had been fixed and they had enough quantum in them are siphoned off. So it is the siphoning of that over a long period of time, that sexual energy. Because sexual energy allows for the production of keys in the body. And keys are collections of sparks that are quantum sparks. They're normally things that will go backflow to source if the bodies were working naturally. But the mechanisms employed on this planet have harnessed those keys for many, many centuries. And they have not allowed the backflow to go all the way up and out, back through the seed atom and back to source, which would, of course, give you a backflow return. So you get no backflow return. You give off a quantum of energy that was generated by the phasing of certain parts of your light body field, and then that gets exploded out into your auric field and sucked off. And that quantum built enough energy in this planetary field for certain forces to use and direct that energy through the elemental kingdoms into overriding of the crystal spiral, so they could have the Metatronic Fibonacci spiral take root. And that has been one of the saddest things that has happened on this planet. This planet was taken over by its sexual energy, and every time people copulate and do their orgasms in the current state, they are creating keys, pieces of keys, sparks that form kilons that are shaped in the Metatronic configuration. Now, they can be harnessed, heated, taken back, and fixed if they're still there, which is good. There's a number of people on this planet from other times who learned how to filter that process where they just don't let those keys go. One way people that aren't working with these energies can assist themselves is learning to direct where the orgasm goes when it flies. Realize it is a flurry of sparks that are aiming for the auric field layers, particularly the first one, because the first chakra is the closest. Chakras 1 and 2, and which would be correspond to the 1 and 2 layers of the physical atomic and the emotional elemental body layers, get most of the burst. But you can learn to direct that upward. You can learn to harness it and pull it. You can learn to take that, what you just pulled, and put it somewhere to heal something or to bring it up into your third eye and manifest something. You can learn to use that energy because you're dealing with quantum sparks. But when you begin the process of activating the natural parts of the Edonic Umshadi seed atom, this is a secret that for a long, long time the forces that control this planet did not want you to know about, because it's the one thing that can overpower and reclaim the keys. It can overpower the harness that has been on the sexual process here. It can reclaim the body, not just the emotional body, not just the mental body and the spiritual levels, but the physical bodies. And it is the physical bodies they have been harvesting, because it is the physical body layers that are creating those keys through the Jaffa interactions. The Jaffa will be inside of the body in this structure. So they have been using the bodies here as key manufacturing units, and in order to generate quantum, like little machines, in order to generate electrical energy, in order to store it and use it to, well, for various things. One of the biggest things is to take over the planetary grids, which worked very well as far as they were concerned. We are going to reclaim our bodies. And then, there's an old saying from many places, you can fight fire with fire, and occasionally it works. Now, we don't have to fight. However, there is a planet here that still has some pieces of it that are capable of host. When we begin to be able to make these keys, particularly for the people in this room, that will be able to catch the monadic synchronization of the activation of the Edonic seed. Every time, now you don't ever have to make love with anyone again if it's not your thing, but every time you in your life share yourself with a partner or with yourself, you are making sparks, you are making keys. They will be in natural configuration. You can learn to take those and bring them up to the palms and heal, help to heal with them. They are much stronger than many of the Metatronic ailments that people are suffering from. You can take them and use them for manifesting desired outcomes, but think through what it is you want first. And then when you say, I'd like to manifest this in, as long as it's in line with the Christ, like let my will be thy will. And the Christ wants you to have whatever it is you want, but we'll show you how to have it in a way that you don't have to violate anyone or hurt anyone, or it's not a power struggle, right? But if you want to manifest with this energy, what you do is you get really clear on what you'd like and clear it with your Christ self. And then with or without partner, you don't really have to have one. You don't even have to touch yourself. You can. It makes it go faster. But, but you don't have to. You can simply phase and breathe rapidly for a while. And then a few things you can do with lotus arcs and sparks that make the process move even quicker. But when you can get your body to orgasm after this link has been made, where the keys that are formed during this process are natural configuration, and not just natural outer domain, they are natural of the Edonic domains, which means they have stronger quantum than the simple keys that would be generated through your own Azure out here. You can, in the process of once you have your mental picture clear of what you'd like to manifest, surrender the need for it, right? Say, well, it'd be nice if that happened, even if you really, really, really want it. Well, if it doesn't, that means there's something better the Source had in mind for me, right? Because you don't want to attach so much to it that it actually runs away from you. Then you proceed in your process, be it together or alone, and when you feel the energy building and you know it's going to get to that point, you can learn not to let it all come out here. You can let the physical parts come out there, but you can separate the keys from the physical parts and carry them up. And if you're trying to manifest, hold the image at the pineal in the third eye, and breathe it up and actually inhale while the orgasm is happening. You'll have an orgasm instead of an orgasm. An orgasm goes, right? An orgasm goes, right? It's a different feel. It's a different energy. It's stronger. Once you get it up here, blast it through the image. Take the image way into the future, out your sixth chakra. And then clear your lungs, leave it out there, and then inhale it back and send it down to earth core. And then go. Yes, then return to normal breathing. You can also use it if anybody is ever foolish enough to try to cause you harm. Say you're walking down the street and it's at night and somebody decides they're going to attack you. Could be a bad move. Because what you can do, now you don't have to say, excuse me while I masturbate. And then I'm going to flatten you with a light ball. You can train yourself to key at will. It takes a bit of like being with yourself for a while though, like alone, where you just practice phasing, right? Phasing, where you can actually make yourself pop keys in a single breath when needed. Now it helps to have keys in storage to do that, right? So if, let's say, you just want to have some fun and you kind of like the feel of it, right? You can bring the keys up, hold them here in the astral field until they calm down a bit, right? And put them back down in the office, put them back down in the nada, and let them stay there for a while. Don't waste it. Gosh, don't just like go all over the place and then somebody else siphons off your keys. It's a shame that people here forgot what sexuality is really about. It's a very sacred act. Now, these are things you can do with yourself. We haven't even talked about coupling in this workshop. You can hardly wait to see the diagrams that come through on that one. But this, we simply are talking about you as individuals and your relationship to sexuality. Your keys are precious. And now we're going to be able to activate the hedonic keys directly with the physical body. That means you have a gift to give. That when you do share yourself with someone intimately, do it consciously, know what you're doing. They may not, and you may terrify them if you try to explain. What are you? An alien. Oh. Yeah, right in your spaceship. Some people will be open to understanding about it, some won't. They don't have to understand that you understand. But you need to treat yourself and everybody else with respect in that regard. Now, when you have the hedonic keys progressively beginning to activate in your system, where when you have an orgasm, it is actually not producing mutated Metatronic-shaped keys or sparks, you have a gift that you can give to others, not just by sleeping with them or not sleeping with them. You can give that gift by walking by them. You can give that gift by remote transmission, by envisioning them and connecting to their higher levels and sending them frequency. You can assist in spreading the keys of Eden. So there will be more people on this planet who will actually be able to use them to get into the gates of Eden, to heal from the mutation, and to get into the places where things aren't in the state that they are here. When it comes to intimate sharing, we'll probably deal with more of that in the next two workshops, particularly the last one. But when it comes to intimate sharing, you will be able to do all sorts of really neat things when you learn how to play with your keys and your partners. When you have two people who know about their keys and play with them consciously, you can do fascinating things. Did you ever know you could orgasm through your hand chakra? The same sensations that your body experiences with those parts down there, you can have out of any one of the chakras and the body parts connected to it. Imagine what it might feel like if your liver had an orgasm. It's quite fascinating, actually.
It's not an armless fun after all.
Not armless.
It's not armless.
I'm waiting here. I'm waiting for the get ready because we're time thing here, trying to time. It's not quite yet. Talk a little bit more about keys. As far as the keys, as far as your sexual energy goes, whether or not you like the word sex or the act, you are a sexual being. It's kind of a silly word. You're a spiritual being, and spiritual beings produce keys and energy. And that has been mislabeled as an outer act called sex here. And its meaning has been lost to most of the consciousness here, yet it's still craved. Now, what happens when people get in 3D, usually now, before they have the special gift that's coming? What is that state where you get in? That, I think they call it horny. Well, the sparks are collecting, and more sparks are collecting. And the more sparks that collect, the sparks want to be released because the nada gets full, and it vibrates too much, and it actually starts creating chemical agitation in the entire body. And that's why some people crave sexuality, having to get that out, get that energy out. But yeah, and they may like pursue others and like predators in order to have the exchange that will allow them to get that out. There are others who play sex magic games who understand a bit about the keys and the sparks, or maybe not the keys, but at least the sparks, who will actually be predatory toward others in order to get them to make sparks, so they can then suck them in to themselves and use them as quantum. This is some of the occult stuff that the black arts people teach and play with. And they like to use pentagrams, which are the Kasha keys. The Kasha keys, which activate the Kasha keys, right? The pentagram activates the Kasha keys, which are the quantum differential units that go with the crystal keys. So there's a lot of things to learn about keys, but the most important one is to learn that you have them, you make them, and you even make them when you walk. If you notice when you walk in the bodies that you have, the energies rub inside down there. Like even if you're really, really thin and no parts touch each other, you still are creating a friction vibration in the walking itself. That is enough to create a bit of sparking, and those sparks will collect. So you're always making these, even if even if you've been a nun for 500 years and haven't even thought about the deed, and you're still making the sparks. And some people learn to turn it off, where they turn off their awareness of the process and turn off the awareness of the feeling, so they don't feel it because they have ideas that they don't, that sex is dirty and they don't want to share that, and for whatever reasons. And that just creates buildup of the keys, and when they build up to a certain point, they create, they begin to compact, and they create certain chemicals in the body. Like for males, for example, it often turns into prostate cancer. Yeah, exactly. For women, it often turns into cervical cancer or the other one. What do they call that here? Colon cancer. Those kind of things. Yes, which they're embedded key, mutated key oversaturated areas that finally the mutated key oversaturation kills the living cells there and begins the process of the cancer process. So sexuality is healthy, even when we're walking around in mutated bodies. It still needed to get the keys out, or they do things to the body. They solidify into crystalline gelesic structures that interfere with the natural cellular processes. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go and I have to 4 times a week make sure I let my keys go, when you learn to run energy in general, you don't get key blockage problem. Right? You get sensitive to, it's feeling a little overloaded down there. And it doesn't mean you have to go find a date fast. Or it doesn't mean you have to go, find a bathroom fast, so you have some privacy. What it simply means is learn how to clear the key collections out of the nada consciously with breathing and bring them up and use them somewhere else or store them someplace else so the nada doesn't get too full. And because then it can drive you crazy chemically where you're a chemical vampire person wants to pounce on anybody that walks by because you really, really, really just need a couple right now, right? Because it can build up into that. What is sex drive? What is this urge? It's too many keys in being stored that are creating chemicals in the body, pheromones, and are messing with the chemicals, the natural chemicals in the body. And that is creating urges in the body that are not natural to a healthy body. When you're working with natural key structures, you don't get that over vibration of keys. With the mutation right now, males tend to carry more electrical charge quantum than they're supposed to. It's not natural for the male keys to carry what they do because they've actually took some of what would normally be the quantum differential. They would have the quantum differential and the female keys would hold the joule. The mutation has orchestrated it in a way where the male can hold most of the quantum, and it creates a mutated type of key that has too much energy in it, and it creates very distorted chemicals in the body, and it tends to create a quite a bit higher sex drive than what women have. And what it does also is deprive women of the extra joule count that a normal key would have. So you find men tend to, or mane runners, will tend to have higher sex drives, and the ire runners will tend to have lower ones, and you marry a couple of them, and you will find one wants to have sex all the time and one never does. And it causes problems where it's very difficult for them to understand each other. It also changes the frequency of all of their communications, which makes it very difficult for them to understand each other even verbally, particularly verbally. Verbally and sexually, it tends to create very big imbalances. And the mutation was made to create keys that could be siphoned off male bodies most easily, but they would have as much of the quantum as possible that could be stolen. So it was an orchestrated mutation. Right now we're getting back the power to get our keys back. So those urges that are, it's almost as if the keys were orchestrated in a way where they could direct the elemental forces to get the elemental forces that we're made of to control us so we could make more keys. So we could be siphoned. And we can stop that process at this point. I'm going to get ready now to begin the process of phasing of the Shadi. There are certain tones associated with it, and I will let them come as they do, and there may be a time or two as these tones come that I ask you to tone that with me. Say, okay, do this one with me. Some they will just want to run through quick, and some they will want to have you do directly so the tones run into your body. While we do these things, just try to get in touch with your Shadi, your Idanic Siddhatam. Try to feel around. Just put your little mini-me down there and kind of stand at your belly button level and say, okay, what's down there? I haven't looked in a while, maybe. Yes? Yeah. It gets cold. I know. Okay. When that becomes important. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I will. All right. You're saying when we start this, it's best to not have your legs crossed. All right. Yes. You can cross your ankles. Yeah. Okay. Try to envision now the Shadi down there. It's almost like having a dinner plate stuck through your area down there that way. As far as the size would be like about dinner plate size. It also expands and contracts, but right now it's at about dinner plate size. the first two that will phase when we begin the toning, and the intent, and what we need to do is focus on the intention that I will phase with Shadi now. I will phase my Shadi. I have one. Oh, good. The first ones you will want to phase together will be the two, the cluster that belongs, you have three of them in the front, and those two will phase together. The first will be the front and the back ones simultaneously, so the ones that are running front to back. You want those to phase first, and then the ones running side to side. There'll be times later where we begin to spin it and shift the angle of the shield and all sorts of neat things to do different things with energy. But for now, we're just going to get it singing. Okay. Okay, this sequence of tones, they're saying when you hear me do the tone, I'll do them slow. Just do them with me. And then when you hear me switch to another tone, just follow and switch with me. Okay? And imagine that as you're toning, you're sending the tones directly down into the nada, right, into that center place. Okay. The next two tones direct toward the front set of the phase cells. Excuse me. Direct the next two tones to the back phase set. next tones will go to the left phase set. And the next two tones will go to the right phase set. And the next one will be aimed to the nada. Tihenato, Tihenato, and faster. Tihenato, 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 Tihenato. Repeat this command. Ishwa, Umkate, Edama, Shalom Ta, Kashadur. Now imagine that you can feel a little vibration in the three phase cells. If you don't feel vibration, you might actually feel a bit of, you could almost describe it as cold energy, but it's not an uncomfortable cold. It's just almost like a numb energy. Like when you put tooth numbing lotion on a sore tooth, you know, that liquid stuff, and it just kind of, it's there, but it's not feeling. You may feel something as the interior vibrations begin to stimulate movement. It'll take a few minutes before they begin to move in phase. During this time, we are waiting for them to kickstart. I would ask if you would hum with me, not do the words this time, but hum with me the Aurora song. And just hum it, and we will move some overtones in and through it. And if you feel overtones coming in and through it, you can use them too, as long as there are a number of people in the, holding the bass line of the sound. As we make these tones, direct them again to the nada, And imagine that as we hum the tones, they're moving down and rippling down the Rushite spiral and directly into all of the cells of the Shadi. Okay. Pick it up. And one more time, faster. Keep going. Good. Now take an inhale breath all the way up from Eartha core, all the way up through your Rushite spiral. Imagine the whole spiral is spinning as you, both clockwise and counterclockwise, as you inhale up. First bring it up to the Azure and hold it there. Next, jump it up a bit to the Rajna. Next, send up real quick to chakra 14 and then down into the Nada. Okay, now, very, very soon, there is going to be a burst of current set forth from your seed atom in your Azure. That burst of current is going to symbolize that the monadic level is rebirthing and it is releasing a spark pulse current. We'll let you know when that is happening in the indigo shield, and most of you will key with it and get instantaneous at the same time. Don't worry about it if you don't see it happen. It will pick up. Unless you've told it that you don't want it to, then your fields will not enter it. Now what we're going to do when this moment comes, we're going to inhale quickly up to chakra 14 and just hold for a moment. And imagine the spiraling currents coming out. There'll actually be two, one clockwise, one counterclockwise. And imagine them going into the Rushite spiral. But as we do this inhale up, imagine that we're actually contracting the Rushite spiral upward. Let's practice that for a minute. Contract it upward. It's like arcs are up, that's one thing, right? Pillar up, that's a different thing. They all go together. But contracting the Rushite up feels different. So try to feel this. It's like a little accordion, but it's quite wide. It runs the width of that plate that you're activating. So try to feel this accordion of current. And even before the spark releases, you might notice there's a connection to the feel of that inhale and the spark point probably in the front. Some of you may feel it anyway. And then gently release it. Now, when you do this, you can do this even when the monad is not rebirthing. When you inhale and hold with conscious attention, pulling up and in the Rushte spirals, it is opening certain of the seals that only open during this state of contraction. And then when you exhale, they will close again and the chakras go back to their average spin. But you are able to charge the Rushte by doing this, which means you're also able to charge all of the dimensional shields of all the chakras. So there are times when you can use Rushte charging breaths that you can use them with the, imagine your arcs, your lotus arcs are facing, and you're also facing your pillar up and down, but keep the attention on the accordion of the Rushte spiral and of bringing it up. And at first, you may only feel like bringing it up to your waist height, or not waist height, your crotch height. But then later you can actually bring it up further than that. But there's a little barrier there where it will resist wanting to get pulled up past there. And that's all right. You will eventually get it to come comfortably. And that's simply part of the residuals of the mutation holding the Rushte spiral in a configuration it doesn't belong in. So what we're going to do is a few practice breaths before the monadic rebirth and its spark pulse current. We're going to call this spark pulse current that will come with the monadic rebirth the wind song, or the song of the wind. And there is a song that does go with it, but we have not brought that down yet, and that won't be for tonight. But there will be times when we bring the wind song in order to assist in, you can coordinate the phasing of the Siddharam, of the Umshadi, with the phasing of the monad, which will, of course, synchronize all of the things that grow out from the monad. So you will have the best ability to do this, the people in this room tonight, because you were catching the first activation. But other people, you can teach other people how to do these breathings and for various purposes, for healing to having great sexual relations or whatever it is you want to apply. But for now, we're going to bring up, and I'm going to give you a pattern first. When we inhale from the azare and make it a sharp first inhale upward, and make sure you pull the spiral up and imagine that the spiral actually comes unattached down at the bottom, because it actually does this when it contracts. It actually breaks one connection in order to make another, and then it goes back down and reconnects. So it's breaking a connection and putting it back again. That's what spiral always does. But what you're going to do is you're going to do it purposely with enough thrust to pull it up through the barrier of the residual Metatronic configuration that was holding the seed atom in an unnatural configuration, all right, of the demon seed. Now, we're going to pull the accordion up really fast. We're going to pull it up to the Iyumbi, all right, where the bottom of the Rushte spiral goes, and up to the Iyumbi, and just hold it there for a moment. Hold it there and let it charge. Because you are making sparks in the upper parts of the fields when you contract these spirals. And now gently send it back down with a little moderate force, but not a lot. Feel it reconnect to earth core. Imagine way down somewhere in earth core. There's that connection again. There will come a time when your spiral will do this every time you breathe. But just like we had to train the lotus arcs to come back into phasability where they will just go on autopilot now, it took a while to get them there, of doing it consciously. We will need to work with the Rushte spiral in the same way, and we will introduce more of those technologies as we go along with these workshops. Now, we're going to get ready to use the Rushte connection to synchronize the birth point of the monad on the outer domains that is in your azare with the now humming gently Idanic Siddharam Umshadi. The procedure will be, when I say go now, will be inhale up to the azare, hold it there for the whole, and pull the spiral up, where you pull the end of it all the way up, and as if you're contracting the entire spiral right up into the Azure level. Just hold it there for a moment. And when I say spark now, then breathe it down right into the Shadi, and leave it there. Don't send it down further yet. Leave it right in the Shadi, and just a few times tone Shadi in whatever way you want to. Shadi, whatever it feels right. Okay, but the words Shadi, several times, just to build the frequency in. And then there will be a point where synchronization occurs in the shields, in the indigo shield. And at that point, I will say, all right, inhale, and then push it down, and that's where you reconnect it to the earth, the core. That will synchronize the base pulse rhythms of the newly birthed monad with the newly waking up Shadi, seed atom. So let us wait for a moment now. It is getting close to the release point. Okay. On 1 and 2 and 3. Inhale up to the other way. Hold. Now release down to the Shadi. And leave it right at the Shadi. Don't go further. Shadi, 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 Shadi. Okay. Inhale up and then down. Make the connection. And now, as a final thing that we will do here, is imagine that plate-sized disc that is the disc running through the Shadi, and the outside of it, the outside band, should spin clockwise, and the inside band should spin counterclockwise. This applies to both males and females. Later we will get to the inner currents that are different, and that's where we have the polarity connections and things between Ire and Mane people and things like that. But everyone should have those two spinning, one the outside clockwise, the inside counterclockwise. And simply put, clockwise would be moving from your left toward your right, right? Around. And counterclockwise would be moving from your right toward your left, across the front. And just breathe a bit and leave the spiral where it is. But imagine now that as you're breathing, every time you inhale, the inside one does a spin, a quick spin counterclockwise. And every time you exhale, the outer one does a quick spin clockwise. And try breathing like that for a few minutes. Inhale, counterclockwise spin on the inside. Exhale, clockwise spin on the outside. When you're in a position sometime where you want to build charge, you can increase the breathing rate with this particular exercise. And it will progressively, as they rotate through each other, they rub the inner spark, or the inner light cells as well, and begin creating more sparks, more deeper sparks. It's also very good preparation for if you want to have a lovely date night with your beloved, whoever that person may be. If you sit and play with this at home, this simple technique. And the first part is simply inhale while consciously following the counterclockwise spin of the inner set, of the ruche, and then exhaling and consciously following the outer clockwise spin of the outer part of that plate. You can get to the point where you can play with this, and you will start to feel like, you will start to understand what it really feels like to build quantum, because you will start feeling the energy build it will build first in your groin area. Then you can get to a point where you really amplify it, that once you get to where it comes real natural, just like there was a point where it became very easy for the arcs to go, that when you were trying to learn how to do the arcs and the pillars together, it was like, whoops, forgot my arcs. Where'd my arcs go? And after a while, you found your arcs were going anyway, because you already got the pattern moving, and the body took it from there and knew how to do it. This will work this way, too. If we work with first spinning the two discs of that plate, right? Remember, inside counterclockwise, outside clockwise. And just get used to doing that with every breath, right? To the point where it becomes real easy, where you don't even have to think about it. You just breathe, and you can relax and actually feel the sensation rather than thinking about doing it, right? Once you hit that, that's like a barrier to cross, where you no longer have to think. You sit down and breathe, and immediately you're just aware of it, and you feel it going, right? And you can, once you get to that point, then you're ready to do something else. While it's going, you start to amp your pillar, as it's called, which is you begin to, with the inhale, not only spin the inner, but pull the ruchite up. And you can pull it up to whatever chakra you want, but starting at the Azray is a good place. And then you can, on the exhale, push it back down again while the clockwise spin on the outer plate goes, right? You'll get to a point where you can do them both, and it comes really easy, and then you can do them really fast. Yeah. Yeah. This is the beginning of learning how to use your spark chamber consciously, because your spark chamber is entirely running up your main vertical column. It's not just located down there. Now, if you start doing these things and start feeling the quantum building, it's like, uh-oh, I'm overwhelming my nada down there. And the funny thing is, you'll probably start feeling it first in the outer points, where you might get it first if you're a female in the clitoris, and if you're a male, you might get it, you know where, in the penis. Yeah, in the penis. You might get hard. You might get, like, where it says, hello. Yeah, right? Yeah. What you can do is wherever it starts, wherever you start to feel that energy building, you can then slow down the motion and say, okay, we built enough there. Now let's put it someplace useful, right? If it's floating around, stuck up in one of your centers, like if it happens to be the one behind that's phasing faster, you're not going to want it stuck there, because it's not going to feel very good sitting on it. And it's going to cause disturbances in places you'd rather probably pretend you didn't have. So when you feel it stuck, if you feel the energy building there, where it's just like, yeah, I feel it there, and sometimes it'll feel good. I mean, you can sit there with it in certain parts and go, yeah, like that. Could take that further if I wanted to. Yeah. But if you want to just clear it and put it into storage someplace, you can inhale it up and first attempt to put it into the nada. And if it just goes in and it feels like the sensation is completely stopped, that means the nada had plenty of room for it, so it'll take it, right? If you get a bit of resistance to that, then it's like, okay, nada's full, got to do something with this, and you might as well clean out the nada while you're doing it. So you kind of leave it, go back to emptying your lungs, and then all the way up to chakra 14. And then gently create a ball of sparks at chakra 14 and store them there for a while. All right. You can use chakra 14 storage for quite a while, because it will take a while before it will start making your field agitate. right? If you get way too much up there and down there, you'll find your whole field is like fibrillating. You're like, gotta do something with this energy, right? That's when it's a good idea to move it outward into manifestation of some sort. It can be physical manifestation, it can be sharing it with a partner, or it can be manifesting something. You can build a charge like that and put it in. Chakra 14 is a great storage place. There also are others, but that's the best one to start with. You can then pull it down when you want to use it. Pull it down if you want to use it for, let's say, assisting in healing or something with your hands, writing, art, playing an instrument, something that uses your hands. Put it in the heart chakra and keep it as a time release that you say, okay, you'll just synchronize with my breathing and you'll give me, the energy that I'm looking for. I will use this energy for this. Now you can use it to amplify Kathara healing practices hugely. You can use it for all sorts of things. You can use it for resonance alignment imagery if you're a painter or an artist, because you can take those sparks that are key parts and transmit them directly through your hands into the molecular and atomic structure of the paints or the ink or the pencil that you're using. And you can actually store the keys in outside places where they can be of benefit to others as well. And there are certain things in frequencies that someday will open in the Edon gates that any art created in that way will actually activate, because the keys will activate. But they need to be put in there consciously. And they're only going to be put in there consciously by people who know they have them and know how to move them around and do things with them. So, at this point, we have got the synchronization started. Let's see. It's really neat. Right in the center of the room, there's a spot in the indigo shield where I'm seeing one of the seed atoms, the Shadi, and it's spinning. It's doing its inside spinning counterclockwise, outside spinning clockwise thing. And it has a particular momentum. And I can feel this outer thing, big. It's like outside the room, but it's like in the outer part of the indigo shield, that is synchronizing with it. And that must be the monad thing. I would, if I were going to draw that diagram, I would have probably looked at it differently. But I'm seeing it with inside. We've got the Shadi, and outside we've, the larger ball set outside is the monad that rebirthed. And now we will be entering the monad cycle. And not only will we be having the monad keys building, but the keys of the Shadi will be building right along with them, amplifying them. And we'll be learning new technologies. This is just the beginning. This was like, here's you, yourself, and source and sex. What do they have to do with each other? All right. I think it went pretty well. The timing was wacky as usual, but the subject matter that surprised me by the end where this went, I had no idea that they were going here. Right? I hope that we've covered enough. We didn't get into like basic things like I'm having trouble with my girlfriend, what should I do with that? That kind of thing. I'm probably not the person to give that kind of advice, because I'm not a licensed counselor type person or anything. But there are people who are good at teaching 3D outside workshops that will teach you perhaps about good communication skills and coupling and things, but they won't teach you about keys probably, however. Now, if you have a relationship that you would like to enhance, share with them in whatever small way what you're learning about chakras, what you're learning about this little energy area that everybody has down there, that maybe they would be open to working with you. If not, recognize they have one and share some keys. The keys are a gift, and there's a part of everyone that came out at some point from the middle into the outer. That's the only way to get to the outer layers. So even if you're dealing with someone who does not want to be involved with this kind of stuff, doesn't care, doesn't believe in God, doesn't want to do whatever, you can still bring them the gift of the keys. And if they happen to be your partner, your spouse, or whatever, do what you usually do, but do it consciously this time. And if you can move your keys up to chakra 14 in storage, you can also move them over and share them. Now, you don't inflict them on people, because that would be a spiritual violation. But what you can do is offer them. And the way to offer the keys in that context would be breathe them up, collect them in the astral, send them down to Eartha core, with the request of the Eartha consciousness to assist in giving this person these if it is appropriate, because Eartha is hosting this planet, or the people on this planet at this point. So Eartha will know where it's appropriate. Eartha will make the right connections as far as avatar levels and all that kind of stuff, so you don't have to worry about inflicting keys. Now later, if you get somebody who wants to play with you and know about keys, you can start doing really fun things with keys. You can start cleaning your chakras out and linking them together with the keys. You can do all sorts of things that can really, really enhance your experience of each other as a couple. And that's male or female can do that, because both are capable of running neutral keys as well. So even if you had two Mane keys together, you could actually run a neutral, what they call tri-spark, which will give you the bass tone to link them. So there's a lot of things we can learn about coupling and things. But this workshop was about coupling with Source first before we worry about coupling with each other and those kind of things. I think, have I covered everything? I think I did. Yeah. Oh, the spiritual condom. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes. Another thing you can do with your Rushite is you can play with this at home first. So if you ever need it in a split second for extra protection, you do the exercise that I had explained, where you get the plate spinning, in the right directions. Then you start with the spiral going up and down, and learn to build charge and store it. You can start in chakra 14. You can also store it. You can store it somewhere a little closer if you want to. You can, for a while, store it in the astral field. If you feel you need protection, generate some keys, bring them up to the astral field, and put them in your astral field. All right? There's one thing nice about the Edonic keys, is that the Metatronic frequencies cannot link to them, because they are natural structure of a stronger quantum matter. So they can't hijack them out of your auric levels. So what you can do, you can protect yourself astrally. If you feel, you can sense out whether you think you're, maybe it's not the astral that's bothering you, maybe something in D3, is really upsetting you, or something like, something you're walking around in. You can actually transmit it out your skin, like just put a layer around your skin and build the keys and push them out. Just kind of push them out from the main vertical current, right? And from the Rushite. Inhale them in, push them out, and just make like a sparkling coating over you. If you get really good at playing with this and building quantum, you can bring it right down to chakra 3, your Ra center, and build a really big ball there fast. There's certain commands you use to do that, and we'll get into that later, because right now you can't generate enough frequency yet anyway to do that, but you can then bring it up and throw energy balls at people and knock them over if they were trying to harm you. You can learn how to do these things. They're connected to the Rushite, and learning how to consciously work with the keys and the Rushite. So for now, the best protection, if you feel you need extra protection, simply turn on the Rushite and do the breathing, even if it's quietly. You don't have to focus on it and that kind of stuff. But generate the keys and bring them into your astral field. Bring them into whatever area of your body you're feeling any fear in. Right? You can direct these keys. These are these are actually pre-keys. They're sparks that will form the keys once enough of them build up. Okay? So you've got the skill now, and you've got an activated Shadi. And again, the Shadi, the seed atoms. Remember we looked at the Unisai seed atom, and how it, even in black and white line work, it has a feel of presence about it. There's like an identity. It's a being. It's an eternal consciousness form. The same applies to the Edonic seed, the Shadi. You can get a huge sense of safety by realizing that it is a consciousness field, an elemental consciousness field, that is from the Edon levels, that you can work with and say, would you assist me here? I feel frightened. Would you help me to not feel frightened? Or work with me. You can co-create with it if you recognize that it's a consciousness field, and it will work with you. And in only Christic principle. You can't point it to go do something bad. It won't. Right? It won't use its energy that way. But you can run the intention of, I am safe now. I am in perfect safety, like a condom, but one that's coming from the bottom up, right? With the spiral. When you breathe it up, hold it and emanate more of the sparks out, and then let it go back down again. You can build your pillar. You can amplify your pillar. There's all sorts of creative things you can do with the ability to create sparks consciously now. And there will be a time later where we learn how to, once we can generate enough sparks, there's a couple other centers on the body that we can open, and then we can learn how to do other things of building things with them, creating things, creating life, actually. Because when you build with sparks that are living, you're going to create something alive. And we will start with things, with the elementals. We will ask Eartha if there's anything we could assist in helping with, if there's a healing that can be done. And we will assist in working with the keys in this way. So there's a lot to learn with keys. But one of the nice things is you can have a lot more fun with sacred sex, or with sex by making it sacred. And you can protect yourself if all you have to do is run your current a bit before you go to sleep at night, before you encounter with anyone. The keys you can generate with this connection will burn off what others could do. Okay, you might pick up Metatronic keys if you happen to be dating somebody that's filled with them. However, they will be very weak compared to the power of the keys you can generate. But don't go out and try it until you play with generating them for a while. Get your quantum up first. I was like, oh great, I got like 3 keys. Well, I'm all right. You know what I mean? I did 3 breaths, no problem. I'm safe for a year, right? So learn to use the breathing. It's a simple breathing thing. We don't have it written down any place, but it's pretty simple. We described it. You can do that. You will generate keys doing it. Then store the keys if you want. Let them loose if you want. Play with it all the way. Take it as far as you want if you want. But whatever you do it consciously now. And realize you're generating energy. You've become a conscious energy generator person. You've become a conscious creator. It's the beginning of getting our skills back. Remember, we were born and created in the image of God Source. We are units of the consciousness of God Source. And we are faces or sparks of the fire, of the flame of God Source. So why wouldn't we create beings and things? God Source does. This is the beginning of a journey that I have a feeling is going to be very fun. I think we can wrap it up at this point. I think we've covered the most important things. Did I forget anything else? Oh, that artwork? Oh, dear. Yeah. Oh, it's 2:30? Oh, dear. I didn't realize it was that late. Yes, I'm wrapping. Not this one. I'll fine-tune these better, and then we'll make them available. And probably there'll be more that go with them. Maybe we'll do, I can just see this, Sacred Sex Manual. What would we call it? The Kamaruta instead of the Kama Sutra. What? Oh, anyway, it's 2:30, I hear. How'd that happen? Ooh. I'm going to say good morning and good night, and we have to be on the road before 8 tomorrow morning, and everything is all over the whole room up there. It looks like a post office exploded. There's paper everywhere. Right. Thank you very much for coming and being here. I hope you've enjoyed it, and good luck with your keys.